Hey everyone, good morning. Well, morning for me. May not be morning by the time you guys see this, but welcome back to another edition, another episode of Black Women in Corporate America with your host, Nicole S. Palmer. We're really happy to have you here. We've got some hot topics to discuss, so I will definitely get into it. But first, some housekeeping items. So I'd like to start the top of the episode with a few housekeeping items. So let's get into it. Number one, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Even if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, Amazon, wherever you're listening to your podcast, mosey on over to YouTube and go ahead and hit that like button, hit the bell so you can subscribe. Please share with a friend because what do I always say? Sharing is caring. Please and thank you. This actually will go a long way to help me get monetized. As you may know, I have talked about that a little bit in terms of needing to get monetized in order to move some things forward. So I would sincerely appreciate it if you could take the time to like, share, and subscribe. It will cost you absolutely nothing, and it will mean absolutely everything to me. So thank you so much in advance. Also, if you are listening on Spotify or Apple or Amazon, go ahead and submit a 5-star rating, please. This is a 5-star rated podcast. Let's keep that momentum going. I would so appreciate if you would take the time to rate the podcast. Sincerely. Okay. What else? That's on to topic number 2 is that we are less than 3 months away. I know it sounds crazy to think about, but we are less than 3 months away from the drop of Playing the Game While Black Women in Corporate America. And if you're not familiar, actually, it is the book that I wrote that inspired this podcast. Playing the Game While Black Women in Corporate America is a phenomenal book. And yes, you may be saying to yourself, well, of course you're going to say that, Nicole, you wrote the book. But to be fair, it is an excellent book. I actually wrote it while I was on medical leave from the last toxic job that I ever worked at. And I say the last toxic job I ever worked at because even though I'm in corporate America now, I move very differently, y'all. And let me tell y'all, learned some critical lessons that I took along with me. And more importantly, that I placed in the book. So you really need this book. It is a playbook. It is a manifesto. It is a survival guide. If you are currently going through it in corporate America as a Black woman, you need this book, I promise you, because it is the book that I wish I had written and had been made available to my younger self. And more than anything else, it is a love letter to all Black women who may be going through it right now, who may be dealing with a toxic boss, a toxic environment, all of the things. So you absolutely need this book. I have the unspoken rules that are the foundation for this book. I talk about them in detail. The unspoken rules of corporate America. I talk about the different players you're going to face when you are in corporate America, or the board, like I like to call it. I'm telling y'all, it is really good. So get you a copy. If you already have a copy, thank you so much. Can you do me one small favor, please? Would you mind, please go to Amazon and go ahead and submit a review, an honest review of my book. That really goes a long way. The more reviews that I receive on Amazon, the more visibility the book gets, and it will get recommended more to others. So please take 5 minutes and go ahead and submit an honest review of my book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. The book is now available on Barnes & Noble. So go ahead and submit a review for me. I really appreciate it. If you're waiting for the paperback and the hardback, great news. The book will be released as a hardback and a paperback on June 21st. So again, less than 3 months away from launching the official hardback and paperback. And I am super excited. I am going to actually do a book launch, and I haven't decided yet if it's going to be virtual or in person, or maybe both. We'll see. So stay tuned for that. Definitely be sure to tune in. And if you want updates, go ahead and go to delnickmedia.com. Delnick Media is the parent company that created or published the book, as well as this podcast. So if you're not familiar with Delnick Media is a company that I founded with my husband. So I'm one of the founding partners of this company, and I'm also the editor-in-chief. And the goal and the mission of our organization of Delnick Media is to amplify underrepresented and marginalized voices. You guys know how I feel about underrepresented and marginalized populations because I am that person. And so it is super important to me to ensure that those voices are heard and amplified. And of course, we share some really engaging stories. So that's also part of our mission. So not only do we want to amplify those voices, we want to be able to share and make sure that the message is spread far and wide. So if you do have a story, if you have a book or a short story, or even a serialized story that you'd like to actually have published, we are happy to welcome you to our fold. And so definitely go check out delnickmedia.com and get some more information. You'll see the link, or at least the logo, so you know how to spell it, and you'll see it right hovering somewhere, either to my left or to my right. So definitely check it out. At some point, maybe I can tell you guys really quick the origin story behind the name Delnick. Actually, the origin story is that it is the first three letters are the first three letters of my husband's first name, and the last three letters are the first three letters of my name, Nicole. I'm not mentioning him because he loves to stay behind the scenes, so whenever I can pull him out of hiding, then I can have him tell you his half of things, but that is how that came together. And so we have actually been working very hard for decades jointly in multiple ventures, and last year we decided that we were going to make it official and we went ahead and incorporated Delnick Media, and we haven't looked back since. We had our official launch earlier this year in January, so we are super excited about all of the things that Delnick Media is going to bring forward. So definitely tune in for that. Definitely subscribe to our newsletter. We are going to be launching a newsletter, but go ahead in the meantime and sign up. And you can do that by submitting a contact form at the moment. Just sign up right on our website through our contact form, and we'll definitely keep you informed. As I mentioned before, we have a really ambitious crowdfunding campaign coming up, so we will tell you more about that. So in the meantime, sign up. Check me out on the different social media platforms because I will be sharing more information there. So definitely tune in for that. All right, that wraps up all the housekeeping items I have for the time being. I feel like I'm forgetting one, but that's okay. We'll get back to it. So before this was recorded, before I went ahead and recorded today's episode, I was sitting down thinking about what I wanted to cover. And sure enough, because we are almost always on the same wavelength, my publicist reaches out to me, Nantale Mwange of Black Girl PR. Get into it in case you don't know. But anywho, my publicist reaches out to me and says, this would be a great topic for the show, or maybe something to write about. And I'm like, ooh, yes, it would. So what exactly are we talking about today? Well, Business Insider, shout out to Business Insider, they actually recently did a write-up, and the article headline, I'm going to read it to y'all, and then we're going to dive on into it because it's juicy, y'all. So the headline says, some Black women feel safer working from home and are opting out of office life to escape workplace racism. Yeah. That's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah. So, and when she said that to me, I was like, oh yes, this the one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to get into it. So I really wanted to talk about this because it is really it is not a new phenomenon. It is not something that's like, oh my God, I can't believe that's happening. Y'all, I did it myself. Let's be clear. So yes, It's 100% factual. So I thought it was super cool, or maybe super interesting that they decided to cover it. Actually, both, because sometimes, places don't be wanting to talk about the hard or uncomfortable stuff. They just don't. So shout out to Business Insider for actually writing about it. And I thought it was actually a really good article. So I'll actually put the link in the description so you guys can check it out. And I think I can actually do that on Spotify too. So I got y'all too. I'll go ahead and just put in the description. If you guys want to read the article, go ahead and check it out for yourself. I don't believe it's available free. I had to end up paying do a 30-day trial and pay $1 for it, which to me is still pretty good. So unless you have a Business Insider subscription, you may have to actually sign up in order to get access to the article. But it's really good, so totally worth it to me. And so I thought it was interesting, and I'm just looking down because I'm looking at some of the information here that I thought was okay. It's based on a story from one individual who talked about working from home because she works for a nonprofit. And y'all, she said that the turnover rate for Black employees at her office is 100%. That's bananas. Surprising? No. Bananas? Yes. And so when I started thinking about talking about this topic, y'all know I was trying to be cute with it or whatever. And so I thought about the idea of quiet quitting. And I think for the most part, if you work in corporate America and a corporate space, you've heard the concept of quiet quitting. And if you haven't, that's okay. I'm going to break it down really simple. The idea of quiet quitting is that you basically decide to check out from work. So you are still working. You haven't actually left the job physically or literally. You have just left the job in terms of motivation. And so what that looks like is that employees that maybe were once overachievers are suddenly doing bare minimum. And I put that in air quotes because y'all know when it comes to Black women, bare minimum for us looks so different. And again, something else I talk about in my book, it is actually one of the rules. Your best is their mediocre. And so our bare minimum is still their overachieving, okay? So, and even then we're scrutinized, okay? Because the moment you start doing less, it's like, wait a minute, less as in stuff that's not in your job description, okay? Yeah, catch that tea. So the moment you start doing less or just decide, oh, I'm just going to focus on the items in my job description, they're like, wait a minute, what are you doing? I noticed you're not as much of a team player, all of the words that we like to use, all of a sudden it's a problem and all we're doing is scaling back. Yeah, I can go into a whole story about that. So we're not going to do that today because that's not the focus of today's stuff, kind of, sort of. But the moment we take a step back, then it's suddenly looked at as like, oh, they're just deciding that they're just not into being, as a team player, even though all you're doing is setting some boundaries. So that's essentially the crux of quiet quitting, is when somebody decides they're going to, I guess, quietly or secretly, I'm using air quotes because I, on a lot of levels, categorically reject the concept of quiet quitting. And we can talk about that another time because, again, that's not the topic of today, but I wanted to give y'all some context. So when somebody decides to quietly quit anything above and beyond what is required of them, or, just doing the absolute bare minimum. And so when I thought about this particular topic about Black women opting to work from home, I wanted to be clever or cute and think about a concept. Since corporate America came up with this quiet quitting idea, I was like, you know what, why don't we flip the script and come up with something and let that catch on, just like quiet quitting. And so the term that I came up with, and it's still a work in progress, so bear with me. So I came up with remotely retreating. Doesn't roll off the tongue like quiet quitting, or maybe remote retreating, one of the two. Because when you think about the idea of working from home, and I think about this essential it's being looked at as an escape, especially for Black women. I was like, yeah, you know what? That works. So when I say the concept, y'all heard it here first, okay? Don't let nobody tell you different. Remotely retreating. That's what I'm calling it. So this idea that as Black women and other marginalized individuals, we decide, you know what? I need to work from home to protect my peace, to protect my sanity, to preserve my essence and all of those things. And so when I talk about the concept of retreat, I look at it from the perspective of like, you're creating this haven for yourself. So maybe now the editor in me is like in overdrive. And so I'm thinking, so I guess the right term would be retreat instead of retreating, but I think it works both ways. All right, so just go with it, remotely retreating. And so I think about retreat not as an escape or like not running away, but to creating a safe space for yourself. And so that's what I came up with, remotely retreating. Let's go with remotely retreating. I think it makes more sense that way. Y'all let me know in the comments. And the grammarians, please don't come for me, okay? I'm doing this off the cuff. So that's what I was thinking about when I thought about this idea that Black women are saying, you know what? I need to work from home because the toxicity, the microaggressions, the macroaggressions, a little shade, a lot of shade. If y'all read my book, y'all know what I'm talking about. And thus the general racism is too much. And so I need to create some physical distance between myself and my workplace. And I'm telling you all, if I didn't have a telework option at my last job, I would have left a long time ago. And as you all know, I stayed there over 10 years. And part of what allowed me to stay as long as I did until I couldn't was that I was able to work from home. And y'all, when the pandemic hit, which was a hot mess, and we were able to work from home 100% of the time, that opened up a whole world of possibilities for me. Number one, it was amazing. Although we were in a horrible period of the history of the world, being able to be shielded from everything that I dealt with in the office was such a welcome change. It was such a reprieve to be able to do that, actually. And I've never looked back since. And as I'm talking to y'all, I'm thinking, ooh, reprieve, remote reprieve. What y'all think? Which one sounds better? Remote reprieve or remotely retreating? Which one? Let me know. Let me know in the comments which one y'all prefer, remotely retreating or remote reprieve. You know, because if you think about reprieve, you think about, remote respite. Oh, see, now I'm getting all the ideas, all right? So let's put it to a vote. I might do a poll for real and see what y'all think. Remotely retreating, okay, remote reprieve or remote respite. All of those ideas imply rest and like just a step back from all of the things you deal with on a day-to-day basis. Ooh, I'm on all cylinders this morning, y'all. I had my coffee. I'm feeling good. My brain's like firing on all cylinders. Yeah, let me know in the comments what y'all think. I'm really going to put up a poll and see. Let's see if we can make this spread just like all the other stuff that spreads about us folks not doing what we're supposed to do in corporate, right? So, yes. So when the pandemic hit, even though it was, I really think about that line. I think it's from Grapes of Wrath. Please don't quote me on that. And please don't come for me because I'm trying to do this from memory. But you know the line that says it was the best of times, it was the worst of times? That's literally how the pandemic was. It was horrible, but in a lot of ways, there were some benefits to it. And I mean, that's just the stark reality of where we were living. It was a duality of things, where on one hand, it was very horrible. On another hand, it actually saved some people's lives, if I'm being really honest, because I don't know that I would have stayed as long as I did if I didn't have the ability to work from home. And to have that ability for such a long period of time to work from home 100% of the time. And I know not everyone had this, so I know that I was privileged in that sense that I was able to work from home and do my job from home. But it was very different. And what it did is it opened up my eyes and opened up my mind to the possibility to do this 100% of the time. Because before the pandemic hit, I was working from home 2 days a week. And so now suddenly I get to work from home 100% of the time, 5 days a week. And I thought to myself, yeah, this is good. I like this. I want to keep doing this. And so once I left that toxic job, I knew immediately that any job that I took on going forward would have to be 100% remote. That was just had to happen. And that is what I've done. So the role that I took on once I left the toxic job is 100% remote. So I don't have to worry about coming into the office because it's not based in my area anyway. And it has made such a difference in terms of my outlook and my peace of mind. Y'all, I'm telling you, it is 100% real when it comes to being able to remotely retreat or have a remote respite or a remote reprieve. I'm throwing that out there so y'all can get used to them. So it has made such a difference. And I couldn't recommend it more because, again, it allows you to create a safe distance from everything that you're dealing with in the workplace. I'm not saying it makes everything disappear. Please hear what I'm saying. It doesn't make everything disappear, but boy, does it make it a lot easier to tolerate. It just makes it so much easier to tolerate than if you had to go into the office. I mean, think about having to deal with all that stuff and having to deal with it in person. That's just another layer of like, ugh, why do we have to do this? So I definitely agree that it is 100% a thing that more and more Black women are opting to work from home. I think it's really in parallel, in my opinion, to getting to entrepreneurship, to really building outside of corporate. And it's kind of the same, to me, they're parallel paths, because when you think about it, a lot of times when we as Black women decide that we're going to step into our own, or that we're going to build our own table, we're doing it because those opportunities are not made available to us at work, even though we are the most qualified, often the most qualified or overqualified. We are often passed over. And so we make the decision, well, if I can't get the opportunities here, I'm going to create those opportunities for myself. And so I think about that side of it. And then the other side where maybe you're not someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, but you definitely want to have more freedom. And that's where working from home comes in. And honestly, it's really just an absolute game changer. It has been a game changer for me. It has given me freedom to have a more structured day because I don't have to worry about the commute. I mean, these are just all the benefits that come from working from home. So I don't have to worry about a long commute. I don't have to be stuck in traffic. I literally go from my, once I get dressed, go from one room to the other and get my day started. And so also shower, just to full disclosure. Just to be clear, I don't want y'all thinking like, okay, she just goes and gets dressed and starts her day. That's not how it goes. I do shower, y'all. Just like that sounded weird. Let me correct that really quick. So anyway, I just really thought this was such a spot on article. It was very well written. I really enjoyed it. And so like I said, I will put the link in the chat. I'm curious to know, because the one thing I didn't see, let me see. So there were a couple of things that I found interesting. Number one, they did reference an Essence magazine article where they found that 45% of Black women said that they experienced most of their racism at the workplace. And that doesn't surprise me because that was 100% the same for me. The majority of racism that I experienced was definitely at work. So that was an interesting stat. There was another statistic I just saw that I thought was interesting. Oh yeah, so this is and they did call it a bit ironic. Let's see. Yeah, they indicated that Black workers said that their sense of belonging increased by 50% once they started working from home. Isn't that something? So I thought that was interesting. I definitely feel like I was much more relaxed when I was working from home. I didn't feel as on edge because you almost have to have like the idea of having your head on a swivel, like always like being on the lookout, like from a mental standpoint, that also plays a factor because you're always having to prepare for the next level of ignorant or just out of touch questions that you get from individuals who feel like you're there to answer their questions from a Black person's perspective. Like, ask a Black person. And they're like, oh, well, you work here, you're Black, I can ask you these questions. No. Not how it works, not how it should work. So you're having to always be on, you have to be on at all times because you don't ever want to be perceived as being angry or aggressive or intimidating, all of the terms that they like to throw around. And so you want to try to come off or at least try to brace yourself for any out of touch questions that you may get, because when you don't, I mean, again, if you're reacting to any questions or comments instead of responding, then it gets flipped to us instead of the perpetrator, which is unfortunate, but par for the course, right? And you may be saying to yourself, this all sounds well and great, Nicole. And yeah, I would love to have a work from home job, but my job doesn't offer that. So I want to leave you with some ways that you can actually land a work from home role or transition to working remotely. One of the first things you can do is ask. I actually have successfully converted several roles in the past that were in office to a remote setting because the work could be done from home. And granted, I was a contractor at the time, so mileage does vary, but that's one first thing you can try is start where you are. See if you can convert this to a work from home agreement. There are some companies that do have a remote policy, and even if your current role isn't remote, you may find one within the company that is. So you can start there depending on your skill set and your background. Start where you are. If that's not an option, there are a ton. When I say a ton, I mean a ton of remote opportunities that you can find, especially post-COVID. There are a lot of companies who decided to pivot to doing work directly from home. And it's because companies realize that the work can be just as done easily from home as it can be done in the office. And also less overhead because a lot of these companies sold their companies or buildings that they once leased or purchased. So it's also cheaper for them if they don't have to worry about renting or having an office building, right? You think about other expenses like electricity and all the other things that come up. It's just a smart move. So lots of jobs out there. One of my personal favorites, I will say, that I refer to a lot is called Rat Race Rebellion. Super easy to remember, but again, I will put it here. So Rat Race Rebellion, I believe is .com. And they're awesome because all they offer is remote jobs, whether it's part-time, contract, you name it, they have it. It's a great place to check out if you are looking for remote opportunities. And I, again, will put the link in the description, so check that out. So that's something else that you can check out and consider. Also, check out agencies, staffing agencies. You will be surprised. A lot of the staffing agencies, especially nowadays, offer several remote opportunities. So the nice thing with agencies, which is why I recommend them, is that you have more latitude. You can say, I'm only interested in remote opportunities, and they will ensure that any opportunities that come across that are remote are the ones that they put you in front for. So you don't have to worry about having to filter from hybrid to remote. They will do the filtering for you, and that will save you a lot of time. So I've actually landed a good bit of opportunities that way by just simply letting my agent know I'm only interested in remote opportunities. I'm not interested in hybrid or being in the office. So that's another great way to do that. And the other reason I mentioned agencies is because they all offer benefits if you're they call them a W-2 employee. So an agency might be the right way for you to go if you still need benefits, if you still need to keep insurance. Highly recommend that is an option for you to transition from in the office to remote. That's something else to consider. There's some other obvious ones, such as LinkedIn. I have said this before, and I'll say it again. I do believe that LinkedIn is oversaturated. And personally, I haven't had as much success on LinkedIn in terms of jobs, is what I mean, as I've had going directly to the job site. So maybe you can use LinkedIn to actually filter and see what opportunities are available. But then instead of applying on LinkedIn, I will go directly to their website, because I do feel that there's a huge disconnect between the applications you submit on LinkedIn and the response rate, me personally. So for you, maybe it's different. But what I like about LinkedIn is that you can actually filter to remote jobs as well. And you can filter by industry, you can filter by company, you can filter by when it was posted. So that's actually another really great option if you're looking for a remote opportunity that will help you transition from work to home. So that's worth looking into. Definitely optimize your resume if you haven't done that already, because that will also help you land some additional opportunities. I've gone as far as indicating whether the role I was working was remote versus not, because especially if you're looking or applying for a remote role, companies want to see that you have experience in that you're not a novice, that you have the discipline to actually do the work from home. So that is another way that you can indicate that, is by indicating whether the roles that you held were remote or not. Or even if they were partly remote, that's something worth mentioning. So those are my tips for you and my resources if you are looking to transition from the office to a home setting, or to remotely working from home. Remotely working from home, that was a total contradiction, or no, it was redundant is what it was. So yeah, I was so excited about the coffee, and now I'm just like but yes, so if you're looking to work from home, those are some resources. Another really good resource I'm about to give you right now is, as I mentioned before, I have another podcast called Feast, Famine, and Freelancing. It's currently ramping up for season 2, just wrapped up season 1, actually a few months back. And so there are 13 whole episodes, but I talk all about freelancing in that podcast. And I have an episode completely dedicated to work from home resources. Yes, an entire episode. It's actually one of the most popular episodes that I recorded with my co-host. And so you're going to find a lot of great resources in there. And there's also another episode for resumes, how to optimize your resume, the whole episode all around that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put both of those episodes. You'll see them hovering around somewhere if you're watching this on YouTube, of course. And you can check those out because they've got some great resources. A lot of the things that I use for myself, I've gone ahead and shared those. So definitely check those out because that will help you get started, especially if you're not sure where to start. So check both of those out. It's a resume episode, resumes and taxes. And we also did an episode on work from home options and resources. So those will both be available. I have a whole playlist. And those are being built out as well. So you'll check out and see the playlist is also available based around feast, famine, and freelancing and that podcast. So go ahead and check them out. Season 2 will be coming very soon, and I'm really excited about that. But more to the point of what's in it for you is go check out those 2 episodes. They will be super helpful if you're trying to figure out where to go. They're hovering somewhere. I'm sure they are because I've added them. But if you have any questions related to working from home, how to make the transition, let me know. I'm an expert at this. I have been working from home actually since the late 90s, whether it's on a part-time or full-time basis. I've had a home business. I've been an entrepreneur since 1997. Yes, I'm dating myself, but it's okay. So I know a lot of tips and tricks and a lot of resources, or have a lot of insights as to how you can make the transition to work from the office and transition to home. Yes, absolutely. So if you have any questions, leave a comment right in the chat below or in the video comment section, however that works. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Go ahead and leave a comment and I'll be happy to answer your questions that you may have related to working from home. All right, I've covered a lot today. A lot was covered. So yeah, I think we can wrap it up for today. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much again for joining me for another edition of Black Women in Corporate America. This was jam-packed. I had all of the things for y'all. So hopefully you found it useful, because I shared a whole lot. And so there's a lot of takeaways for you. Definitely go ahead and write some of this stuff down. Again, I'm going to put them in the description, but thank you for joining me for another episode of Black Women in Corporate America. I still can't believe it's episode 16. I mean, my time is flying for real. So right before we hop off, of course, I gotta make another appeal. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Nicole S. Palmer. Super easy, my full name and middle initial. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Please share the content. Sharing is caring, like I always say. So please go ahead and share the content. Please continue to watch my episodes, guys, because it is making a huge difference. The watch hours make the world of difference. I will also say, because I'm doing deep dives into the analytics now, over 80% of you all are not subscribed. Those of you who are watching my channel, that's a big number. So over 80% of you all who are watching my content are not subscribed. Please subscribe. Don't be shy. Go ahead and subscribe. I promise I won't bite. Please go ahead and subscribe. Please support me. If you're finding this content useful, just take a few seconds and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so that you can be alerted. Subscribe to any of the shows that you see that you find useful on my channel, because I will be continuing to add content. I promise you that there's so much more to come. I'm so excited about all of the other things that I have to share with y'all. But please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe. If you're one of those 80% of folks that haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to have lots of awesome stuff going on. There's going to be giveaways. Yes, I'm doing giveaways, y'all, because I'm going to do a whole event based mostly around YouTube. So if you are listening to this somewhere other than YouTube, you're going to want to subscribe, because the giveaways are only going to be made available to YouTube subscribers. That's all there is to it. So definitely subscribe if you want to be part of any of the giveaways, and they are going to be delicious. Okay? So be sure to subscribe so that you can be alerted to what's going on. I'm going to be posting a lot more content in the community area. So definitely check that out. Stay tuned to the space, because there's a lot more exciting stuff coming on. Please, if you are on Instagram or LinkedIn, wherever you may find me, you can always check me out there, Nicole S. Palmer, on all of the platforms. So go ahead and check me out, and go ahead and subscribe and sign up and all of the good things. All right? Get my book. Get my book, Playing the Game While Black Women in Corporate America. It is a survival guide. It is the only playbook you'll need, because at the end of the day, if you are not playing the game is definitely playing you. Okay? And on that note, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and come back same time, same station, where we unpack a whole other topic that is the essence of Black women in corporate America. All right? Until next time, take care.